So I'm going to call this meeting to order. Richie, do you have a preamble we should have read?
I do. So good evening, everyone. Because of the continuation of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is being held electronically over the Zoom platform. It is authorized by the county's declaration of local emergency, the county's continuity of government ordinance, this authority's resolution, and Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.2, subsection A3. The public has real-time audiovisual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone. Everyone on the phone and attending via Zoom from the public is in listen-only mode. The following instructions apply to those who wish to speak during public comment. If you are listening on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to notify the meeting facilitator. For those joining by telephone, please use *9 to indicate you would like to comment. Tell the board your full name and the magisterial district in which you reside before getting into the substance of your comment. If you don't know your magisterial district, provide a general location for your home or business. The street location or neighborhood name will suffice. Each speaker will be allowed no more than 3 minutes to comment. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the county's website. And with that explanation, I will ask the board members to identify themselves and their general location. And so I'll start off with Bucky.
Bucky Walsh. I am at my home here in Albemarle County.
Waldo.
Yep, Waldo Jakewith here at my home in Stony Point.
Let's see, Trevor Henry. Trevor here.
Trevor's not present.
Let's see, Bill Fritz. Bill.
I'm here in my home in Charlottesville.
Supervisor Palmer.
I am in Athens, Georgia on Boulevard Street. And I'm here.
All right, and Supervisor Price. And I understand she's absent.
Yeah, Donna notified us she would not be able to attend.
All righty, well, we've got 4, so that constitutes a quorum.
Thank you very much, Richie. We'll start with the approval of the agenda. Are there any suggestions for changes to the agenda? Waldo, I think you might have something for us.
Yep, yeah, I'd like to propose that we go into closed session briefly to discuss a procurement matter.
Okay. Where do you think that would best fit the agenda? Down before new business or after new business?
It would certainly be a mitzvah to our attendees if it was toward the end, because otherwise people have to hang on and wait for us to come back.
So let's put that after the 7A item. We'll make it a 7B closed session.
Thank you.
Any other? Go ahead, Liz.
I was just going to move that we approve the agenda, but I apologize.
That's okay. If there's no other changes, then I'd like to accept that motion from Supervisor Palmer.
I'd like to move that we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is amended and approved as amended. That takes us to brief announcements by authority members. I'll holding the gavel. I'll go first. I would call to everyone's attention that the August meeting or the August regular meeting is our annual meeting. And so it's the perfect time to propose any changes to our rules of procedure. Of course, we can do that at any time, but if there's something glaring that you think needs fixing, that's a great time to make sure it gets done. We'll also use that opportunity to elect new officers. And so if you'd like to be an officer or a different officer, please don't hesitate to throw your hat in the ring. There are no sacred cows on the officer list. And the stipend that the current officers are receiving would fall directly to you. So not a penny of it would be lost.
I think it's doubled, isn't it?
Yeah, for those attendees, there is no stipend for being an officer. But anyway, I want to draw that to your attention for our next meeting. Are there any other announcements? Hearing none, then we'll go on to public comment. And I had spoken with, and we've received an email from Derek Kelly. Derek, would you like to lead us off?
Sure. And this is Derek Kelly. I'm calling from my home in Dunn, North Carolina. So thank you for the chance to make comments. I emailed everyone last night, but I did want to read them into public comment. And first, I want to thank you for just your leadership around broadband that predates the pandemic. I think it's worth noting that many counties are just getting on board to where you guys have been for a number of years. So second, my comments tonight are meant to highlight concerns regarding recent actions made by the Albemarle Broadband Authority. So on July 19th, I received a call and an email from Mike Culp informing CenturyLink that ABBA is directing the county's broadband office to concentrate its efforts on the 10-county regional application for VADI 2022 with CVEC Firefly. As a result of this decision, my concern is no other applicant effectively can be considered for partnership with ABBA. The concern exists for CenturyLink because of CenturyLink's work to develop a regional project with Albemarle and Greene counties. I questioned Mike as to why ABBA was making such a decision before seeing proposals from CVEC, CenturyLink, or any other interested provider. From CenturyLink's standpoint, it seems foolish to make a decision to support one regional project over another before knowing the numbers behind both projects. It is not in the public interest for ABBA to pick winners prematurely and without all bids. I believe the call ended with Mike offering to speak to others to see about having a combined call with Bucky Walsh and Trevor Henry to discuss the issue and requested ABBA submit a notice separate from the PDC notice to keep all options on the table for the Broadband Authority. After the call, I spoke with Greene County to make sure they were still on board with CenturyLink in developing a project for their review. They were fully committed and have submitted a notice of application to DHCD. My understanding is the notice of application did not include a company name, and that by doing so, all doors remain open for Greene County to submit a grant application. On July 27th, Mike, Bucky, and I finally discussed the issue. The issue remains unresolved. Bucky and Mike decided to focus on the regional application due to their perceived optics of also submitting a single county application. However, as far as the optics claim, I would think DHCD would be supportive of ABBA, making sure they select the best solution for their county and are able to submit an application in the event that one project does not come to fruition. Lastly, I'll leave you with the questions I'd asked Mike and Bucky earlier on that call, so you may consider them as you review these concerns. What is the reason for stopping CenturyLink and possibly other providers from developing a solution to ensure Albemarle County is supporting the best broadband solution for the residents? It is entirely possible CVEC could come back requesting $15 million from Albemarle County and CenturyLink was proposing needing $2 million, or vice versa, but you ended the procurement discussion last week and now you're stuck with their solution. It's also possible CVEC comes back saying they need $50 million combined from all 10 counties. Albemarle is sitting on a pot of $21 million from the ARPA funds, but the other 9 counties are mostly in.
Derek, I'm sorry, but your 3 minutes have run. We do have your comments in writing, so they are all available to everyone on the board.
I think Mike had mentioned maybe some opportunity to finish my comments, even if they ran a little long. Could I ask that of the chair?
Let me see first. Is there anyone else who's waiting to speak? If you would raise your put your little raise hand button on, or do a, what is it, *9, Richie? Yeah. Seeing no one else, why don't you go ahead, Derek? But if you could move it, that would be great.
Great, thank you. The other 9 counties are mostly in the $3 to $5 million range. So what happens if they cannot contribute at the level needed to make it happen? Is ABBA going to subsidize those other counties just to make sure it doesn't fall apart? I put a copy and paste of some Virginia procurement law talking about making sure there's avoidance of impropriety or appearing of impropriety. So how can ABBA tell CenturyLink they're refusing to submit a notice while supporting the notice of the PDC without a fair and impartial procurement process? What is ABBA going to do if CVEC is either not able to develop a 10-county project, and Dominion cannot get SEC approval to raise electric rates for their customers, subsidize the building of fiber cables? And that's one piece I think is missing from consideration with that, is electric rates in Albemarle County will go up if that process goes through. The 10 counties collectively cannot reach an agreement, or CVEC does not meet the definition of universal broadband or any of the other risks that prevent their project from coming to fruition. The MOU states that Firefly will prepare a preliminary financial analysis for the projects within each participating county. Has that happened? I won't go into the comments with that I had with CVEC, but you have them there for your reading. I listened again to the ABBA meeting from April, and there was no discussion that the MOU would prevent ABBA from entertaining proposals from other companies. Was this known at this time? Did the ABBA members understand this provision? And I will read this. Each participating county agrees that for as long as a party is party to this memorandum, it shall not participate in any activity or course of conduct that is inconsistent with or competitive to the initiative. One of the goals and principles of this authority is ABBA will not establish preferred provider relationships. Please explain how this MOU signed that prevents anything that is competitive to this is not setting up a preferred provider. And then I'll skip over the next question dealing with some of the RFI, but I do feel like you guys basically selected that as a solicitation and are going full steam ahead with them. And then if you guys are going to rely on the MOU as the basis for moving forward with CVEC Firefly, why did you even issue an RFI in the first place? So thank you again. I put in the comments that we were requesting a notice of application. I don't know if it is too late to submit one to DHCD, if they'd be willing to do that, if the board wanted to keep those options on the table, but that would be my ask today. And regardless of the discussion, we just hope to understand we're still fully on board with Body 2020 and Body 2021 and are going to make sure we live up to all those commitments. Thank you. Thank you for the extra time, Chair.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you very much for your thoughtful comments. I'll ask again, is there anyone else from the public who has a matter to raise? Seeing none, then let's continue on. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the June 23rd and the July 14th, 2021 meeting minutes. There was a note that, Bill, that you sent around saying you'd made some minor corrections to the June 23rd minutes. Could you confirm that they are in fact minor changes?
Yes, Waldo had sent me some comments that there were some clarifications and some typographical things. I believe sent me some also. Nothing changed any of the substance. It was all grammatical and clerical and clarification.
Well, then I'll move to approve both of these sets of minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this topic? Didn't think so. All those in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the minutes are approved. That takes us on to our old business. Item 6A, the Body 2020 update. Mike, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Chair. We are continuing to work toward processing our first invoice that was received a couple of weeks ago with some changes requested and now received, and we're going through the process of putting that through our purchasing effort. This will be for the funds that ABBA had contributed to the nearly $2 million project that CenturyLink had put forward, 1.4 million. 8 project areas all have been activating customers, CenturyLink customers on fiber. So we've got a huge success, a celebration that we're bringing fiber to citizens and community members in Albemarle County. So working to clean up a lot of things that were left to do, and we'll continue working, and CenturyLink will continue to request that people sign up for their fiber service in those 8 project areas. So essentially we're on the ramp down, but lots of lessons learned that we intend to apply to our Body 2021 project. Thank you for the time.
Do we expect any delay in getting the payment made?
I don't anticipate any delays. We had some detail that the purchasing, the accounting department were required to submit with the invoice itself. So I'll be back if there are any delays, but it should proceed. The funds have been encumbered and will be available for payment.
Good. That's great. So that takes us on to the next one, 2021 update.
Sure.
Yes,
Can I
sir.
ask-
Bill, do you have a
Mike-
question?
Yeah, Mike, do we know how many people they've signed up? How many people have been activated because of the 2020 project?
Yes, Bill, I would like to ask Derek. He'll gladly answer that question. I had old information. Derek probably has more recent information. So Derek, if you'd like to update the board on subscription counts.
The numbers I saw, I think from the end of last week, is we were at somewhere around 208 customers that were on, I believe. So it's about 25% of the homes are launched and on service.
Thank you.
And I believe we had somewhere around a pipeline of about 50 orders that were at some stage of the ordering process, whether they had just ordered it or were waiting for the drop to be installed or some other stage.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mike, 2021.
2021, we are in process of finalizing all the contractual documents. The most important is the contractual document that has to be signed between DHCD and the Broadband Authority. That particular contract has to be notarized, signed by both parties, and then that'll be the final starting point. Now, we had an agreement, what's called a pre-authorization letter that's been allowing work to continue. So work has continued. It's just getting the final contractual information and documents signed and notarized, and then it'll be the official start. So that's something we hope to get done in the next week. Potentially by the end of the week, we have the final document. We received it today from DHCD. So
Good.
that's the next step, Chair.
Good news. Thank you, sir. Any questions about that? Bill? Okay. And then VADI 2022 planning.
Yes, I'd like to start by indicating that the Planning District Commission has been designated as the regional co-applicant for a significant project that will serve multiple counties across the Commonwealth, especially within Central Virginia. So that's one of the big changes and the end of an era, really, because it's the first time that I won't be a prime participant, meaning I won't be the other co-applicant that has submitted a VADI application. So I will be supportive of the Planning District Commission's efforts. And this was a determination that because of the regional effort had nothing to do with anything other than this is a significant effort for the Commonwealth. So we're working in that direction to make the reality of bringing a big project to the Commonwealth and making that available. So I have invited Gary Wood to talk a little bit about the notice of intent, just to verify that we are in it. So Gary, if you want to have any brief comments to the Broadband Authority, appreciate your time today.
All right, good afternoon. Thanks, Mike. I'll just give you a little quick update on our process. We are continuing to work to finalize the map of the unserved areas using speed test data that we're getting out of our online survey, also field investigations to identify where there's clear access to cable or fiber, and trying to do our best job possible to make sure every potential unserved location is included in the application. We are making preliminary designs, and we'll get you some final numbers in August. I'm not sure if we've shared those preliminary numbers, but I will be glad to today. At this point, we believe we've got a project that is roughly in the $30 million range total build out cost. Our intent as of today, this is just an Albemarle, is to request funding from body at close to their average, a little under average maybe, of what they've had the last couple of years. The request really will be a combination of the county and body providing support to reach to a level where our we know that our take rate will be about 60% with the retail rates we have. That's what we've seen over the last several years. We know that allows us to fund a certain level of capital investment. And beyond that, we'll look for the grant funds to bring the capital costs down to make it a feasible project. Right now, the county request is looking around $4 million, just a little over $4 million. The state request is probably closer to a $9 or $10 million request. Again, that'll be finalized as we define those areas, get preliminary designs for the Dominion, Rappahannock, and AEP areas. We've worked closely with all three of those parties and anticipate that we'll have some final cost to you at your August meeting for you to be able to make a decision. Yesterday, I was at the statewide association of broadband co-ops annual meeting, our first annual meeting. It's a new association, and we had Governor Northam speak, and I asked him about the additional funding of $700 million and how comfortable he was that that would be approved, because the General Assembly still has to take action at the special session the first week of August. The governor assured us that the governor's office has done a lot of homework on it and feels comfortable that the total budget, all $4.3 billion that they're submitting, will be passed pretty closely the way that they are requesting it. On the other hand, I will tell you that our association and a number of other folks are continuing to remind the governor's office and the General Assembly that funding is critical to help solve this rural broadband problem. And our area and the regional project we have will be a large request, but we're one of a number around the state. So we're working to make sure that that funding is still available, and we feel good about our project. We're meeting with DHCD every couple of weeks to go over technical issues or questions and firm that up. We do, first of all, I think Mike does a great job with the applications through DHCD, and he has a track record that shows that he's undefeated. But we did think, because this was such a regional project with all of the counties in the Thomas Jefferson Planning District being involved, plus a number of other counties, that when we're pulling in the funding from those counties to also pass into this, that it made more sense to go through the regional planning district versus one of the counties. So that's how we made that decision. But we're making good progress. We've had good response to our online survey, and we will keep staff up to date as we continue through the next month on refining the service areas. And we get a lot of questions, anything from people who say my internet doesn't work upstairs, so I must not have good internet, which is not true. We do have a couple of folks who contact us along Green Creek Road, and they have a body application and a build out in that area, but they say they can't afford the extensions. And that is not, we can't build in body areas. And we're explaining that to people. We are continuing to work to make sure we have 2,500 feet planned as a free extension to anyone who wants service, and any low and moderate income family will get connected without charge. And our rates are still going to be right where they've been, $49.99 for 100 megabit service and $79.99 for gigabit service. That's really critical to us to serve the demographic. So with that, we're moving forward, making good progress. Our contractor is ready. We have materials ready, and we'll be back to you with a final total in August. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Gary. Mike?
Yes, sir. That's all I had with the 22 planning. Can move on to the next unless there's questions.
Now, are you carrying the financial report for Trevor?
Yes, I am. The financial report will change next month. So a couple of things to update everyone on. It hasn't changed for a while. We have funding encumbered for both body 2020 and body 21. But we are in process of receiving a $3 million appropriation from the Board of Supervisors, and thanking the Board of Supervisors again publicly for putting funding toward a very critical utility for Albemarle County. So that $3 million will show up in our next financial report. We're
Mike,
also, yes, sir.
we have a hand raise from Liz.
Oh, we do. Okay, great. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at my Word document, not the screen. So
It's all right.
It took me a while to find out where the raised hand was on. I'm not used to doing on the phone. I have a question about the VATI.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
New planning. I tried raising this hand, but that wasn't the right way. Do we know on this application, since it's a regional application, if the application is not completely funded by the state? Is it, if it's like partial, how that works? Or, could they fund like Albemarle County and not Fluvanna County, or vice versa, or something like that? Or is it kind of an all or none application?
I can try to get that answer,
Well,
but
Gary's got
may
his
have
hand
it.
in the air, so let's let Gary answer.
Okay, we'll let Gary answer.
And Mike, you're welcome to chime in. We have asked that specific question to DHCD. And we asked several questions related to that, and if it's not fully funded. Our understanding is first that their intent is to try to fully fund as many as possible this year. And with the additional money, we're hopeful that they're able to get all good projects funded. If they do not fund it completely, they would most likely, their approach would be to fund an 18-month build or a 24-month build. So we're going to have 36 months, a request to go 36 months to build all of this out. And if they fund half of it, it is the entire project for the first half, with an expectation we would come back and apply again the next year for the other half. So that's what they have told us.
And when you give us your, your plan, when you have this done, will you have a timeline on that for the different areas? Or how will you work that? How's that going to work?
We can provide a general timeline. For the Dominion areas, we will be a little bit dependent on when they receive their State Corporation Commission approval. It won't be entirely dependent on that. Dominion is comfortable. They understand that regulation and have told us that they will actually start work in those areas as soon as we reach final definition of them, procuring easements and starting to do make-ready work. The need for SCC approval allows them to recover the cost in rates, and they're willing to take a risk by starting early. If they don't get it approved, then they wouldn't recover that in rates, but they feel pretty good about moving forward so that they can stay on the timeline. They plan to get the entire state, this project and all other projects they have, built within 2 years from the approval of the SCC, which would be maybe mid next year. So our Dominion piece will be partly based on their timeline. We can give you estimates of the Rappahannock and AEP locations, but they're going to be fairly generic and high level at this point, because it's just way early in the project. And what we have found is once you put a date up, if anything changes, and let's say we had the opportunity, if we were going to build Rappahannock in year 3 and AEP all in year 1 and 2, and we had the opportunity to move Rappahannock up, and that slid some of the AEP customers back, that creates a lot of conflict for the AEP folks who feel like they had their space in line and it was taken by somebody else. And there's not a lot of benefit to having those really long-term commitments out there. So I will assure you, we're going to be building an Albemarle from the start of the project. You're one of the largest counties, and we'll be building in those largest counties from the start all the way through. And in fact, I would love to talk to you about the opportunity to start doing some work early, perhaps, again, on the AEP lines, getting make-ready work done so that we could be ahead of schedule a little bit. But that's a separate conversation for another day.
Great, thank you very much. And I'm certainly interested in that separate conversation on that other day. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mike, you want to finish up with our Treasury report then?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, we're expecting the 3 million to be in the budget soon. So at the August meeting, you will see that. The other thing to update the Board of Broadband Authority Board is the Board of Supervisors will be receiving a request for additional funding. Yet to be determined how much, but that'll be at the August 18th meeting of the Board of Supervisors. So there will be some additional information coming and potentially a change there. And if everything processes correctly within the finance department and accounting department, we will see an expense on our list for the VADI 2020 expenditure. So a lot of changes will be coming in the finance report. So glad to answer any questions about that, but we're heading in the right direction and changes are coming. Thanks.
Any questions for Mike? All righty. Let's go on to the new business. When Mike distributed the meeting agenda, he included the second quarter calendar year 2021 ABA report to the Board of Supervisors. I trust everyone has had a chance to review that.
Yes.
Great.
I thought it was quite good. I sent in one little clerical mistake, but Mike has gotten that corrected. So that was good.
Yeah, just to update everybody on the process of the posting of the report, because we've already gone to print for the Board of Supervisors meeting on August 4th, I missed a deadline. So that one change, Liz, your work to working. I've asked if there's a way that we can make sure that the online version has that small correction, and hopefully I'll get a positive response to that. But it's a minor change, clerical error, as pointed out. So we're in a good place. The broadband office, the Office of Accessibility and Affordability, has a lot of activity going on. I think starting in the August meeting, we'll probably have an update, maybe a separate agenda item that just provides the board, the ABA board, with an update on what's going on with the Broadband Accessibility and Affordability Office. Most of that will be on the affordability side. So we're moving in the right direction with that, with a lot of activity. Hopefully you'll see some of that coming up soon. So thanks for that opportunity to talk about the broadband office, Chair.
I move to approve the report that Mike has already submitted to the Board of Supervisors.
Well,
is there a second?
Second.
We can pull it, but no.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none. Mike, you're approved. And that takes us to the agenda item for our closed meeting. So I'll read the closed meeting motion. And to those of you who are on the phone as attendees, assuming this motion passes, we'll be asking you to step off and we'll stop recording the call. So thank you all for tuning in today. So closed meeting motion. I move that the Albemarle County Broadband Authority go into a closed meeting as authorized by the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Section 2.2-3711, parenthetically A of the Code of Virginia, under subsection 7, to consult with legal counsel and receive briefings from staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of this public body, and subsection 8, to consult with legal counsel employed or retained by AVA regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, and subsection 29, to discuss and consider the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract, where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the authority's bargaining position or negotiating strategy. Specifically, the authority will discuss and consider its 2021 body contracts with the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development and with CenturyLink and the body 2022 body grants. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Waldo. All those in favor, actually, let me do a roll call here and make sure we get you all. Bill, how do you say?
Yes.
Waldo?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. So we're going to go into closed session. And again, I thank you all for staying with us, and we'll ask you off at this time.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording, Chair.
Okay.
So I've stopped recording or where? Okay, thank you, John. I don't know where my controls on Zoom left, but go ahead, Chair.
Okay,
Sorry about that misstep there.
So this is the closed meeting certification. And so if someone will make this motion, I move that the Broadband Authority certify by recorded vote that to the best of each director's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of the Freedom of Information Act and identified in the motion authorizing the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting.
So moved.
Second. Let's do this by roll call. Waldo?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
And the chair says yes as well. Thank you, Richie.
Okay, we're back in open session.
Great. Is there any other business before we close this meeting? Seeing none, motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Liz. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Aye. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks for the help,
Bye
Richie.
now.